of Species, which was published in 1859. So the title of the exhibit, Darwin's Legacy, the Evolution of Wildlife Art, has to do with, what the significance of the publishing of the book and these new ideas on the origin of species, what that meant for how people thought about wildlife, and particularly about how artists viewed wildlife, thought about wildlife. So prior, and Adam's going to talk more when we go into the other gallery, but prior to 1859 and the publication of this book, the artists were roughly in two kind of distinct camps, scientific illustration and the really romantic approaches to wildlife. And after Darwin's theories came out, all of a sudden you had artists who realized the interconnectedness between wildlife, habitat, and behavior in a way they didn't before. So no longer was it adequate just to go to zoos and to get your information that way. All of a sudden you had more and more people going out to see the animals in their natural habitat. So this gallery is organized with the contemporary artists, and there are three main contemporary artists who we talk about in here, with Bart Walter over in that corner, and Lars Janssen over in that section, and then Laney in this section, and then coming around behind us also. So, some of the, you should point out, you want to point out the iPad?
Sure, a couple of interpretive elements. Bobby, as you encourage people to explore on their own, maybe this is a recording of Adam introducing the exhibit so that we're meeting the needs of people who don't read the labels, which is 95% of the people.
No,
I know, I'm overstating it. But this is a great, if Adam is talking about it, and we've got a little slideshow for those people who might want to listen and read. And then there's a video of Lainey on the other iPad over here.
Great.
Again, that we filmed at her house and her studio, so it's great.
That's what I heard. I was going to miss it.
And then we've got these brochures or gallery guides for each of the three contemporary artists, which pairs them with a scientist who has been influential and inspirational on their work.
Okay, great.
So on the front side, it's not exactly like that, it's not totally one-to-one, but there's Bart Walter and Jane Goodall.
Great, yeah.
Lainey and her scientist, and Lars Janssen and his scientist as well in there. And a copy of the book, just not, of course, that somebody's going to sit here and read it, but,
It's impressive to have it.
Exactly.
And then let's look at the case for just a moment, because there's some nice sketches. The one on the left here is all of Laney's sketches, and one thing that is unique is that they relate directly to the paintings you can see from here. So the bear sketch is right behind us there, and I forget the title of this one with the marmot.
Sunrise at
Rainwater tube. And then you have the bison one is actually right in front, and then the playground, which is this one in the middle, is right back here. You're familiar with that
Yes,
one?
that's, I had that one quite a
But
while.
she was trained as a scientific illustrator, and she did biology textbook illustrations, and then about a little over 20 years ago, she switched to doing her fine art full time. And then Lars Janssen, these pieces are all preparatory sketches for this finished painting over here called Rest After a Long
You can
Flight.
see it right away, that's okay.
And he's very interesting in terms of the wealth and richness of his time in the field observing animals.
I guess.
He did his first, sold his first, or published his first piece of art, or he started, I guess the story is he started painting, his first bird painting was at age 4, and then when he was a teenager he had a one-man show at a natural history museum, and then he had, I think it was 6 guidebooks published when he was in his 20s, the bird guidebooks. So he's very highly regarded in Sweden, but also in other places.
He's a really good-looking guy, too, isn't he?
That too. Remember?
He was here. But it's just that
Another one of our tall boys.
Yeah, he was 15 when he had that show at the
Wow.
Natural History.
That's amazing.
Wow, it is. That's great. you've got the lion, good. We talk about that all the time, I talk about that a lot when we talk about the European artists and Cunard, who's really the lion painter.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, that hasn't been out in a while.
No, I love it, I just love it.
And
I love
it's
this
fun
one.
how many nocturnes are up right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thrilled to see it again. Exciting to see it again.
So do you want to jump in about the organization of this room, Adam?
Sure. So
Yeah,
this room kind of starts over here with some scientific illustrations. So you can think about before Darwin, you would have just these little diagrams, or this, trying to show you what the animal looked like and some element of its habitat, but not necessarily a naturalistic. Yeah, isn't that funny?
my
After
gosh.
Darwin, you get a ton of
Oh.
pictures of
Never
monkeys dressing up like people.
Isn't that something? I've never seen that before.
But so, yeah, before Darwin, you either have these kind of illustrations, or you have these more romantic renderings of animals fighting that don't necessarily bear any resemblance to what they would do out in nature. So after Darwin, you get a switch to things like Joseph Wolf was painting, which are interactions that could actually happen. So these two did inhabit the same
Never seen
range,
one
and
before.
maybe he heard a story about this happening. He didn't necessarily see this himself. And like I said, when he painted this, there were only 60 of these creatures left in the wild. So it's a possibility that he heard a story about this. Joseph Wolf was directly influenced by Darwin. We know that they knew each other. Wolf illustrated one of Darwin's books. So there's a really strong connection there. And Joseph Wolf was regarded in his day as the greatest wildlife illustrator, in England or in Europe.
Wow.
This is an interesting painting. So we'll let Don talk about the conservation aspect in a sec. But this is an interesting painting because you have two trained falcons. You can see he has the tresses on his foot. So these guys are coming down and attacking a kite, I think. Yeah, a kite. And we think that, or one theory of mine is that the humans have sent the falcons to hunt the kite so that there will be more rabbits for the humans to hunt. So there's a whole kind of cycle of life thing going on in here. You see the little rabbits over there?
And then the tether on the bird.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, with Joseph Wolf and with artists after Darwin, you get a more kind of complete ecological vision of life in the wild. So it's about more than just what the animal looks like, and it's about more than just an imagined battle. It's about something that could happen, or that maybe in fact does happen on a regular basis. So you get this in the middle of the 1800s, Joseph Wolf and Darwin, and then by the end of the 1800s, you get our big four. So you get Cunard, Friese, Lillefors, and Rungus, who do go out into the wilderness, do study animals in their natural habitats, and then bring that knowledge back to their studios. The other little section in here is based on the American Museum of Natural History and the artists who worked there. So you've got Akeley, Clark, and Rockwell, and William R. Lee. And the whole movement to create dioramas also came out of the same reaction to Darwin. So before in museum displays, you might have like 10 birds pinned up on a wall, or you'd have a cabinet of curiosities. And after Darwin, you get people trying to recreate the natural habitat with the animals doing their natural behaviors in this little scene for you to see. So both Rungus and Lee painted backgrounds at the New York American Museum of Natural History. And these three sculptors did taxidermy and did the animals that you would have seen in the dioramas. So it's a cool extension of Darwin and a way to look at it.
Haven't seen that one for a while either.
Yeah.
I've never seen this one out.
So that's the other fun thing about this. The struggle for existence or survival of the fittest comes straight out of Darwin, and they went on to become the title for, you know, how many works of art you think of have that as their title.
How many of these pieces are brand new and how many are on loan from the artist? So the Red Deer, that's the first time it's been exhibited?
That's new. That's new. That probably hasn't. That might have been exhibited once before.
Never seen any of those.
Some of these have been out though. You know,
Yeah.
a little bit more familiar. And then the 4 out of the 6 Laney pieces are borrowed from her.
Okay.
And then there's 2 other pieces in there that are borrowed that we didn't talk about, but we can talk about our way out. Dawn, do you want to talk about the conservation of this?
Yeah, and a couple resources. There's, Amy has put them on the iPad for volunteer use, but also Dawn has some hard copies here. I have an extra one. Did you need one?
I'd love to glance at it, but I don't have to take it.
You can keep that.
Then the
No,
only
no,
reason
I
that I
don't.
put it on the iPad, Bobby, was I can imagine, you know, it would allow you to get real close.
Right.